Welcome to Girl Talk. This is a very special episode because I have my dear, I don't even know if I should call you a friend anymore. You're like family. So
that is true. Yeah.
For so many reasons and layers and levels of that. But I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And your baby in your belly. That's so exciting.
Nugget.
I know. It's so exciting. There's so much to talk about. And we're certainly going to probably go on a few different tangents because that tends to happen when we're together. But we'll start with how we met, I think. I think that that's important because it is a good one. And there's a lot of lessons that are tied to that in how we've grown together and evolved as beings, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
I hate to use the word journey, but kind of a journey, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how long ago was that you walked into Katherine Hines and you were 10 years ago?
I was 18.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Right?
Think about everything that's happened in 10 years from that journey walking into that school.
Right?
That's
pretty
amazing.
Cool.
That is really amazing. So somewhat, I remember sitting next to your mom and saying hi and talking about how amazing this industry is. And, you have evolved into so much more than an esthetician and makeup artist as well. You have become a leader and a role model and
thank you.
An amazing artist that just has such poise and a voice. So then I found out you were a professional ballerina and connected you with my cousin to teach ballet and you're a dance teacher too. You're a professional dancer.
Yeah. I mean, that really ties into like beauty and my love of beauty too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it stems from somewhere and that's where it began.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's that part and you're inspiring girls from 2 years old?
Right.
But when they start walking,
right.
They can move a little bit to, the women that you inspire to, dream big in the modeling world as well. That's really incredible. And having Khroma by Thea, and that sort of covers that full umbrella. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're up to in your business.
Well, right now I'm a little bit in mommy mode. We're kind of slowing down, but Khroma by Thea is just kind of like what you just talked about. It's, for me, beauty has never been just aesthetics. It's just makeup. It's definitely all encompassing. Like, Chroma means color in Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is color in all different ways, whether it's editorial makeup, whether it's spray tanning, whether it's finding, that shade of lipstick for someone that just needs like a pick-me-up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I taught you how to spray tan.
You did.
You sure and you've now become the spray tan queen.
I remember standing, you were like, well, she's Greek, she'll be fine, nude. I stood nude in front of a whole class of like 30 people, didn't even blink an eye. I was like 18 or 19.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've always loved spray tanning. I've always thought that it does. It changes your world. It changes your confidence, your vibe.
Totally.
It does. And that saying, if you can't tone it, tan it.
Tan it, yeah. I love that.
True.
It's, now I think about it, because I've always done self-tanning, and you were like the one that totally gave me that little gift. And it's like, wow, this little just spritz of something is difference.
It totally does. And even the model that we worked on, Olivia, that day, she looked naturally like she was in the sun. It was truly a natural glow bronze,
I definitely feel, well, for her, because she's one of my steady spray tanning clients, I spray her before every shoot, and I can tell when she has a spray tan at a shoot, and I watch her model because, and same for myself, like I just stand up taller, like little stupid things that you should never be insecure about. You are, because that's it makes it better.
Absolutely,
it
does.
It's
absolutely,
body makeup.
Absolutely. And the other part that, to get a little bit more serious too, when it comes to health and beauty. And I think that it's been really important, and you've been on a journey since, you really became more conscious of ingredients and how they affect your body internally.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah. And it was so funny because kind of when I was discovering all that, you were discovering it as well, and how important it is. And that, as estheticians, we know that our skin is our largest organ. It's, beauty outside in, inside out, that whole mantra. But I became super sick very young, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So and I'm fine now, obviously. I'm healthy and pregnant, but autoimmune stuff is real. And when you find comfort and solace in applying glitter and makeup and lipstick, but it's making you sick, you need to find alternatives. So I am so excited to see healthy beauty in this new age and direction where people are conscious about a product on all ends, from packaging to what's inside to animal testing. So, and we both feel strongly about that.
I do. Like, I went into aesthetic school loving natural brands. Like, Pharmaesthetics was one of the first natural brands I ever was exposed to. And to this day, I love it. I love the purity of it. I love the sustainability. And so now I do think that it is becoming, it's not a trend. It's not like a little niche. It's truly becoming the forefront of the industry. And so we follow that, really often. And I encourage everybody to follow you on TikTok because you have some cool content with makeup and all of that. But my favorites are when you go to TJ Maxx.
Yeah, really?
Yes. I never told you that, but I send them to Sophia and I say, oh my God, we have to go. Look at what she's buying at TJ Maxx, like the coolest shit.
You know what it is? It's like, such the nerd in me. And again, it's not that aesthetics is like one avenue. It's like knowing ingredients. So like when I go into TJ Maxx, I'm like, this $7.99 carrot oil seed serum is fantastic.
Right. And you go through like, look at my buy, look at my find. I found this naturopathic, a chamomile cleanser. I found this, I found that. And I'm like, you're a shopper in that sense. Definitely. And now when you told me earlier that you're a couponer, this all makes sense.
I am such a couponer.
That you are going to TJ Maxx and finding your bargain beauty that has like that luxury feel to it. But overstock goes to Marshalls and TJ Maxx. And I love that you do that. I love that you do those little tutorials.
Totally. I mean, cool. I know couponing is like definitely, and now I'm a mom, so now I sound,
now I'm little Nana.
It's a
but
little
that's
Nana.
Okay. That's
but,
cool.
That started because I loved makeup and I wanted to play and dip my fingers and stuff and had no money at 18 to build a kit. So figured out how to, get
absolutely.
That together.
Well, and then the other thing that you do that's really cool is you go to like CVS and you're like, all right, everybody, here's my drugstore favorites. And that's valuable for anyone, whether it's myself, because I'm watching them and I'm a professional.
Yeah.
But then looking at a younger generation like you at 18, building a kit or wanting to be a little bit more savvy with makeup or purchases, or even, Sophia's age group, but the preteens and the early teens.
They're all about going to Target.
Absolutely.
I worked for Walgreens and my job evolved there. I was just on the sales floor. They kind of started like a new beauty program, which they still have. And then my job title kind of morphed into like a merchandiser and a buyer and more of training some of the other girls how to do makeup application. But that job at, a not so glamorous store really showed me that ingredients matter and you need to do your research, and that, makeup is owned by 7 or 8 huge brands and things just trickle down. So you really need to figure out what's good. And there's definitely a soft spot in my heart for drugstore products because of the price point and because I had to figure out what was great and what was not.
Yeah. I love that. And it's interesting that you say, Walgreens was part of your journey because when we start, at least in the beauty industry or in anything that we do for a living, you don't necessarily, if you leave an open mind, you don't know where you're going to go with it. And being open to that, I never thought, aesthetic school would bring me to where I am within the makeup world. And,
Right.
to this day, I don't even really consider myself a makeup artist. I just love beauty. I love clean beauty.
Yeah.
And I love business building and the sales piece of it. I thought I was going to end up in a med spa doing laser.
Me too. Remember when
Yeah.
I met you? I was going to school for biology.
Yes.
I was on a totally different
Right.
path. You just don't know.
You don't. And I think one of the things, and you are, I think, a really great example of this, is finding somebody that will take you under their wing.
Yeah.
And, I had that when I was younger in the industry, and I still do to this day. Like, I have mentors that, have much more years ahead and wisdom. And I felt like I always wanted to kind of help navigate you through that trajectory.
Yeah.
And
Well, you always have.
yeah, and kept that way. And now you're sort of passing the baton when it comes to modeling with Sophia.
That is
And
true.
that's something like we really need to acknowledge, because
That's true.
she, no matter what happens with it, her confidence and her, like, she's always going to have that in her heart.
Definitely.
And, she's learned that from you by watching you and
Oh, I love
watching you
that.
grow into that. So, I'm grateful for that. And I know that she is too. And plus, our common denominator is Greek world.
It's Greek world. I'll never forget when you were standing in the bathroom with Catherine Hines and you were like, "You're Greek." And I was like, "Oh no, she knows I'm crazy." Like, she knows I'm crazy. And you were like, "My daughter's Greek." And it's like forever.
Like, that's where you click your
stuck
button.
with me forever. Like,
that's it. Like,
that's
that's
it. We're done.
So I am not Greek, but
You're
I was
more Greek than a lot of Greeks
I know
actually
I am.
are.
I know. Like, talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I threw myself into it, to the things that, if there's Greek listeners out there, you're all laughing right now
Definitely.
because they know what we're talking about.
You have experienced literally all of it, from the village to the church to the whole thing. She
all
knows
of
it
it,
all.
of it. Remember when I told you, and you said your mom still has that joke to this day, that Sophia was going to a private Greek school, and she was in kindergarten, and they all went to a funeral. And
Yeah.
she experienced
Open casket funeral.
And she experienced it and came home to me. And then they were going to church, and I think that she got in trouble because she wouldn't kiss the bishop's hand.
Oh my gosh,
and there
of
was
course she
all of
wouldn't.
these.
She's like, absolutely
No,
not.
Exactly. Or drink the wine. Like, God forbid, it was a sin for her at kindergarten. So, I have been through those experiences that are totally comical, but
No one else would ever be able to understand. And it's so funny because my mom retells that story. I'm like, "Mom, this story is like Sophia's."
She's
a
almost
teenager.
14
She's almost
now,
14.
I
Like,
know.
we've done this story over and over again. But I mean, my mom will relive it and tell my aunts and stuff, just because it's something like, it's a thread of something that you cannot describe. And like, how traumatic. Like, for me, I would be like, okay, whatever. Like, they shut the casket down. But for like a 5-year-old who has no concept, like, that's so scary.
it's true. It's true.
And then you're experiencing all of it from an outsider, and you're trying to be like, oh, okay, this is half of my kid. She's half
Yep,
of this.
yep. I went to Harvard to Greek lessons.
You did.
I don't think I ever told you that.
You went to
Before I was
Harvard.
going to Greece, the first time that I went to Greece with my ex, I was like, I'm going to learn Greek. And this is my goal. So I did a 6-week program, and then I would go to my father-in-law, and he would ask me to like recite things back and teach me all of these things.
Yeah, Nick has 2 lambs.
And yeah, like, it was crazy. So I got really, really enmeshed in it. We got married, and then we went to Greece for 23 days, and I went all over Greece, and it was so interesting because the language of women, without having to understand each other, because there was a lot of the aunts and cousins that didn't speak English, and I didn't really
Right.
speak Greek. I had a few things. But it's so interesting how that is such a universal thing, like how women stick together.
Yes.
And I saw that in Greece so strongly, like from his mom, the way that she cooked and cleaned, and like sort of I got taken under the wing of all of the women because I was a woman that was a little bit of an outsider, and they all made me feel comfortable.
Oh, I love that.
And that's I don't know, that like filled my heart when it came to
Totally.
all of the things, because I didn't
They don't know you from a hole in the wall.
And I had no idea that I was going to be peeing in a hole in the ground.
Right.
And, getting my period at that point. And like
in the village. Yeah, with the donkeys.
Right. Exactly. I remember I was in Cremini, and what's funny about Greeks is that Sophia was in Cremini 2 years ago, and I posted a picture while she was still there. And I'm friends with another Greek. Her name is Zoe, and she wrote.
She's also in beauty.
And she's also in beauty. So shout out to Zoe. We might tag you in this. She goes, "Is Sophia in Cremini?" I'm like, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
That is in the middle of nowhere. She is sitting in front of this
from the
well.
Village Rock."
It was shocking to me. Shocking. And I was like,
Greeks are psychos. We just know things. Like, it's so bizarre.
It's so bizarre. And I love that I was part of that culture, and I still feel like I am.
You definitely are.
I definitely still feel like I am.
I say this to my mom all the time. I'm like, Jackie does such a great, for someone who is not Greek, and for any culture, I think that's someone that is thrown into, like, literally the wolves. Like, you're peeing literally in a hole in Greece. And, like, that years later, you're still used to bring your daughter to church. She still does. She knows where she comes from on both ends. And I think, that you've taken the time to do that from her dad's side is really awesome.
It's true.
Because it's totally shaped her as a person. Because whether we like it or not, when you're a cultural kid, you're a little off. You're a little different from
in America, for sure. It's definitely something. And it's interesting because there is sort of that Greek time, and it's funny because there's a lot of Greek women in beauty too. Like, we know this.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
There's something about sort of the beauty and the poise of what Greek stands for, and natural beauty too, with olive oil and like the natural ingredients that are indigenous to there. But that it is something that I do think molded how I stick together with women, and sort of that taught me a lot, and taught me that I want Sophia to have those deep roots and want to go back there and do that on her own, and platform her to know that there's so much more outside of what we might know in the United States, and how they live and love each other and cook, and that love language of things.
It's just a different education that you can't really explain to people unless you've experienced it. And that's why people have the travel bug, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Right.
They'll be back.
It's true. I actually read recently, I think that we're going to be able to, if you have the vaccine, I think some people are going to be able to go to Europe this year. And
I read that too.
That's
Came
good.
up on my TikTok.
Yeah, right.
It's my form of news.
Oh, right. So it's just so interesting that there's so many things with us that intertwine, and I always have believed like everything happens for a reason, to bring people together.
Absolutely.
And that's certainly.
We just kept literally running into each other, bashing our heads.
Yep. It was like meant to connect that way, and the universe was not letting that separate us. And so I'm excited for your next journey and trajectory of building a family and being part of that.
It's so funny because before I became pregnant, I nonstop working, like all the time, just pushing forward, because that's it's what I love to do. And I'm sure you've experienced this as a mom, but becoming a mom, I've experienced so many like unsolicited, strange comments about being a mom and working, and like, is beauty a real job, or is modeling a real job? And like, it's so funny how uneducated people are that, a mom can do so many things. So I'm excited to kind of prove people wrong a little bit and keep pushing forward. And I think, being a mom is going to make me a better artist. It's going to make me more compassionate and understanding. So I'm excited for that next chapter.
Definitely. And the interesting part of you utilizing your belly right now is you've done photo shoots for maternity clothing lines. You've done a lot that you're able to adapt based on, what's happening in your life and your body, and using that. So I think it's not even about, is beauty a real job or any of those things. It's like anything can be a real fucking job if you're passionate about it. And then that's where the money comes.
100%. Yeah.
So whatever that might be, do it.
Do it. 100%. And you have always given me that advice, and I'm very scared. I'm like, oh, do it. And you're always just like, jump. And
Go.
once you jump, it's it's amazing. You need to take the plunge and just do what you want.
And the other lesson, I think, and I say, so those are two lessons I say to Sophia all the time: dream big, and don't necessarily put all of your eggs in one basket. And you are a walking advertisement of that.
So funny, because last summer I had about 5 different people. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Things are changing. Work is changing for me. I'm doing makeup, modeling, whatever, in the midst of this craziness. And I had a successful business owner and a very successful makeup artist look at me, and someone in modeling, a photographer, say to me all within like a month, Thea, you should stop modeling, focus on your makeup. Like, you can't be good at everything. And like, that really pissed me off, because I was like, wow, you're so successful, but like, you're so narrow-minded. Like, you can't see the bigger picture.
Right,
so like, when I'm on set doing a younger girl's makeup for her portfolio, I know how to contour her better than anyone else.
Right.
Because I've been on the other side.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely don't put your eggs all in one basket.
Right. There's a lot of value in that, and that you don't let, like, it's good that you would let somebody positive influence you, but not somebody hold you back. And that goes back to the dream big thing and sort of the reach. So the reach of what chroma means, which is color, and that could mean color in life, in beauty, in modeling, in being a mom, in all of those things, that like, it isn't just black and white. It's
never been.
No. And I think that that's a great lesson to hand off to anybody that we can, not to have that tunnel vision, because the opportunity is out there.
I think people are slowly starting to see that, just because this pandemic has brought on a whole new way of just lifestyle and working, and how people are like, want to be at home and want to take the time for themselves. So I've always kind of felt that way, but I felt like society never really gave me, I wasn't doing the steps, and I felt like society was like, you just got to keep, pick one thing and just, you go for it. But I think that's a really positive change with this pandemic, is
Definitely.
People are branching out and doing what they want to do.
I agree. I see on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
People share their stories of, I quit my full-time corporate job and now I'm doing this and I'm so much happier. And, again, you are an example of being successful in doing that and keeping that going, and really that you can have it all. And I think that that's amazing.
I do think though that, the support system is huge. Like, I've always had you've taken me under your wing, and having a mentor is so huge. And any time that I talk to someone who wants to be an esthetician, doesn't matter what age they are, or makeup artist or whatever. When growing up, I had a ballet teacher that absolutely adored me. And if I did not have that attention, then it would have never have been fruitful. Right. And even if you don't have that with your parent, like my mom is amazing. You need to find someone that is really going to, nourish that in you.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm so grateful that, you made the time to come on here. Before you pop.
This was fun. I know. We're almost there.
Absolutely. So for those that are just listening, we are going to put the link in all of that on how to connect with you for, anything for maybe, after the baby is born. You do weddings, you do photo shoots. There's just a range of everything that you do. Yeah. But what is your website? How can people follow you and find you?
KhromaByThea.com.
How do we spell Khroma?
Khroma by, and then THEA.
Awesome.
Khroma by Thea. And I'm that on TikTok, and I'm not that on TikTok. I'm that on Instagram, and then I'm T Vapor on TikTok.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back when the baby's
born. Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.